Ghanatube so near and some air coso ewo on my new and I was ever for slow my science of asanasi. It is some air co ever edge ever and send a maternal city. Now we will see a quack J and send no edge about a for a bar now matros.
Now, the European Union says it will expand its investments in Ghana's pharmaceutical industry value chain. The EU earlier this year gave a grant of 32 million euros to support vaccine manufacturing and the pharmaceutical industry in Ghana. Meanwhile, EU Ambassador to Ghana, Echad Razali, says the Union is looking forward to assessing the progress and increase investments within the space.
Invested in the private sector to produce vaccines themselves, and this has been launched last year. So there is, as we are speaking, a vaccine unit which is undergoing the works to produce that. Today, what we are launching is an even larger undertaking to create the condition for a sustainable, long-term environment to make this vaccine and medicine producing endeavor sustainable on the long run in Ghana, because it's not only about assembling the vaccine here, but it's to creating a full value chain, and this takes a large scope: human resource, education, technology, private sector environment.
Executive of the Africa Trade Academy, Dodi Seidu, says strong trade facilitation measures will effectively enhance the country's competitiveness in international trade. This, he says, will boost inter-trade activities as well. He spoke to Joy Business at a partnership launch of the Africa Trade Academy and the Forum for International Trade Training.
This partnership between Africa Trade Academy and the Forum for International Trade Training is a partnership to deliver competencies, courses and programs that will build capacity of public and private sector actors in international trade. It's to give people the certification that will make them confident to be involved in global and international trade from Africa. So the partnership between Africa Trade Academy and the Forum for International Trade Training is one that will build capacity when it comes to global trade, which includes the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. What is the big difference here is that because we are Africa Trade Academy, we have special competence in intra-Africa trade topics, including the AFCFTA, and therefore we're bringing the global certification in international trade and adding the nuances and the specific needs and capacities of intra-Africa trade. So the training would cover the AFCFTA and the topics related to it.
The Ghana cedi is on a rebound, slowly appreciating against major foreign currencies. Well, checks this morning revealed the cedi now sells at 15.9 to the dollar, 20.2 to a pound, and 16.7 to the euro. Now, what's accounting for this, and can it be sustained? Let's speak to Professor Patrick of the University of Ghana Business School. He joins us live with more. Professor Patrick Isuming, thank you so much for your time here on News 6. So we're seeing some gains really with the cedi. What are the indicators?
Good morning and good morning to viewers, and thanks for having me.
Thank you for your time.
I mean, it's really difficult to put a handle on it. There has not been much change in the fundamentals to explain why we are seeing the gain the cedi is making. It's not clear whether the BOG is releasing more dollars than expected, or so clearly. I think it's difficult to put a handle on it, but I think it's a little bit too early to say this is a clear pattern. We probably have to wait for this. Wait for about a week or two more to see when a clear pattern emerges. Then we'll be able to see exactly what's going on.
Does this have anything to do with the festive season or the fact that we're approaching a political season?
I mean, generally, when we are in that kind of season, what we should see is more pressure on the currency.
Okay.
Usually at this time of the year, we probably be receiving our syndication, cocoa syndication, and that should be a boost. But at this point in general, you know, people are trying to stop for the festivities, so there's usually pressure on the city. Even though the last 2 years, around this time, the city has been relatively stable. But note that this year, we are obviously not going to receive any syndication, either by accident or design. So it's not too clear why the city is performing the way it is doing this week and last week.
Now, looking forward, you're quite skeptic about how sustainable these gains would be. Moving forward, your thoughts on how we can sustain them?
I think we have to be clear that there's no short-term solution. There's no quick fix to fixing to the city. It's going to take a little bit of time. The measures that will strengthen the city in a sustainable manner are longer-term measures, i.e. changing how the economy is financed and making sure that we get more export proceeds, and then, if possible, some of the things that we import that we can produce locally, making sure that we are producing them locally. So those are things that don't happen in a matter of half a year or 1 year. Those are longer-term things. In the meantime, sometimes when we receive short-term flows, that usually helps to strengthen the city, but those ones are only short-term reliefs. The longer-term reliefs are the more important things that we should be doing.
Thank you, Professor Patrick Asumin from the University of Ghana Business School. The Electoral Commission has transported ballot papers for the upcoming December 7 general election across the country, and we know that the EC says the ballot papers were dispatched to all 16 regions under stringent security measures. This phase follows a month-long effort by the EC to finalize voter registration, allocated polling stations, and train election officers, among other preparations. Now, let's get updates from our correspondents across the country, because we know that the EC has served notice that today they will be dispatching their final round of ballot papers. And so we're looking at the impact so far. We've received complaints about delays in certain regions. Let's touch base with our correspondent in the Upper East region, Albert Sorry. He witnessed the EC delivering the ballot papers in his region. Albert, tell me how it was. Were there any delays?
Yes, so here in the Upper East region, we were expecting the ballot papers to arrive on Sunday afternoon. That did not happen. We understand that they had to make a stop in Kumasi, but checks show that it was just for some security reasons, because it was getting dark. They needed to wait and continue the journey. So they arrived here yesterday, Monday afternoon.
Yeah, kwaje ensem no aba obetimi eja comment comment section area on meje brain na makenkan ni na ede awon mo amodofo snowy and abetina say ede ensem no ebre no Ghanatube so sisi ade akram.